This is a CBS News special report. I'm Nora O'Donnell with John Dickerson and Gail King in New York. President Trump has just canceled plans for a summit meeting with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un.
In a letter to Kim, Mr. Trump says a meeting at this time is inappropriate.
Jong is at the White House with this breaking story. What can you tell us? Good morning.
Oh, good morning to you. The White House just fired off this letter signed by President Donald Trump a few minutes ago, and he says due to the recent shift in tone, due to the language, he believes it is inappropriate to hold this summit. Now, remember, just overnight, an aide to Kim Jong-un was using extremely aggressive language against Vice President Mike Pence, calling him a political dummy for bringing up the Libya model again in a recent interview, and perhaps that is what triggered President Trump to decide not to summit. But it certainly is an extraordinary development, because just yesterday, sources here at the White House told us that this weekend a delegation of top aides would in fact be going to Singapore for the second time to work out logistics, to sort out the final agenda for this meeting. So this is unexpected, especially because President Trump has been so careful in recent weeks, especially the past week, to say, we'll see. We don't know if it's happening. We want it to happen, but whether it happens is really up to Kim Jong-un.
All right, Weijia, thank you. We should note, too, in this letter, which is clearly the president's voice. I mean, I don't remember seeing a letter about this. He says, sadly, based on the tremendous anger and open hostility displayed in your most recent statement, I feel it is inappropriate at this time to have this long-planned meeting. It then goes on to say this is a truly sad moment in history, but he does leave the door slightly open.
Yeah, the last paragraph in particular. If you change your mind having to do with this most important summit, please do not hesitate to call or write me.
But what's interesting is because there was a really strong rebuke of Vice President Pence, calling him, as Weijia pointed out, a political dummy, and also threatening a nuclear-to-nuclear showdown. And so it did merit a tough response from the United States president.
Interesting. The president also, in the second to last paragraph, thanks Kim Jong-un for the release of the hostages and said that was a beautiful gesture and was very much appreciated. So he's got one foot on the brake, one foot on the gas here, and now it's up to us to try to figure out, and the North Koreans to try to figure out what's going on. Senior global affairs contributor Ian Bremmer joins us on the phone. Ian, this week the president also seemed like he was softening. Before this letter, he did two things. He walked back that idea that North Korea would suffer the fate that Libya did, and then he also said that he might be okay with the delay of ending the nuclear program, that it wasn't a precondition for talks. What do you make of all this?
Yes, he also said that Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, would be in charge of the negotiations, and that John Bolton was not going to be writing point. But to be clear, he's also been quite concerned that the Chinese were undermining him. And so, as a consequence, this is clearly, I would say, big thing is how much this is linked to the U.S.-China relationship. The markets should clearly go down with concern that tariffs, for example, by the U.S., the CTE issue, are going to be right back in front of everyone as a consequence. The support for the North Korea meeting was one of the biggest reasons why Trump chose to hold off on hitting the Chinese hard. This is going to be the big disappointment from his perspective. There's also a question, of course, of what he's going to do with North Korea. Yes, he left open the door for potentially a meeting going forward, but the language that we see here is pretty harsh. I would say it's not about an expectation of getting back together with Kim Jong-un in a couple months. It's more that Trump made an offer, it was rebuffed, and now they're in the doghouse. What we really need to see is whether or not this means that talk of preemptive military strikes comes on the table. Let's see what Trump's advisors say. Let's see what Trump says.
Yeah, Ian Bremmer, you brought up, of course, that, and there's one ominous line here in the president's letter where he says, you talk about your nuclear capabilities, but ours are so massive and powerful that I pray to God they will never have to be used. Ben Tracy is in the northern part of North Korea with officials there. Ben, what have you learned?
Well, Nora, it's the middle of the night here. We're actually on a train. We just left North Korea's nuclear test site. This is going to come as a big surprise to people here. Obviously, we've been talking to the folks that we're working with, our government guides, about the summit. People here had been, wondering if they thought the summit might fall apart, if the U.S. might back out, or if North Korea might. But I think this will really come as a surprise. North Korea literally just announced that they were shutting down its nuclear test site. We spent all day there today where they were blowing up test tunnels and saying they're no longer going to conduct any tests there. They view that as a sign of goodwill. They view that as something they wanted to do before the summit with President Trump. Now that that summit appears to be off, this will definitely come as a surprise here.
And Ben, just to clarify, I mean, they were putting on a spectacle for you right there with the blowing up of those tunnels to put on a show of sorts?
Yes, they blew up the 3 tunnels that remained. They claim that makes the site unusable. The problem we had, the only people there were some journalists, and we're not experts, on what it takes to shut down a nuclear test site. There was no outside expert there who could verify that that actually means that that site is now unusable. But they did put on quite a show. There were many explosions. They blew up basically all the buildings on the site. So they have done something there that would not allow them to easily conduct another test. Now, whether they have another site somewhere or they have another plan, we don't know at this point.
I know, Ben, you said it's been in the middle of the night, but do you have any sense of what the reaction will be from North Korea since, there has been some indication that the president was thinking about making this move?
Yeah, on this trip so far, we've not been able to talk to any regular people, any North Korean citizens, but the government guides that we've been with, I can tell you, I think they're going to be disappointed. This has been a topic of conversation. They have wondered if this was going to happen. You could tell that there was a sense here that people were looking forward to the summit, that something might come out of it. But there also was kind of a harder line than I expected that we would run into here. People saying we think it may not happen, or perhaps things aren't going to get resolved with the United States. So I think they were kind of hedging their bets here. There certainly will be huge disappointment in South Korea, where President Moon really has staked a lot of his reputation and his presidency on figuring this issue out. And if President Trump and Kim Jong-un don't meet, whether that's June 12th or ever, that's going to be a real setback for him.
And Ben, what do you make of the Chinese role in all of this, and what do you expect in the wake of this announcement?
Well, it is interesting. President Trump a couple of days ago, kind of blamed China, said that it was after Kim Jong-un went and met with Xi Jinping in Dalian, China a couple of weeks ago, that the tone seemed to change. And he seemed to be intimating that China was telling Kim Jong-un to take a harder line on this. We have no idea if that's actually the case or if that's just a coincidence. China certainly did reinsert itself back into the process. For a long time, China was on the sidelines and not so happy about it. So clearly, China and North Korea quickly mended their relationship. Where it goes from here, who knows? The United States has needed China to enforce these sanctions because China accounts for the vast majority of North Korea's trade. So if China has a close relationship with North Korea and then the United States is not willing to work on these issues with North Korea, you could see a shift in how willing China is to help on sanctions.
All right, Ben Tracy, inside North Korea on a train as he is leaving that nuclear site there. Coverage will continue throughout the day on your local news and on this CBS station and on our 24-hour streaming network, CBSN. You can watch it at cbsnews.com.
And we'll have a complete wrap-up tonight on the CBS Evening News with Jeff Glor. Many of you will return now to CBS This Morning.
This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm Gail Kane with Nora O'Donnell and John Dickerson, CBS News, New York.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com.